Imagine if America was all locked under one religion. This, however, is not the case, as many different religious beliefs are freely expressed in this country. A lot of discrimination has resulted from these differing views.
Hi, I'm Reese. I'm a junior in high school and I'm a Catholic. For this reason, I'm very interested in informing people about the effects of their language towards various groups of people, and I am cognizant of discrimination in this area.
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm also a junior in high school, and I practice Christian religion as well. This makes me aware of religious discrimination around me as I am more sensitive to it.
We are very interested in the topic of religion, as it shapes the moral code for many of the people around us, including ourselves. Therefore, we have decided to base our topic on religion.
There are many different religions that are practiced by many different people. We focused on the most common of these religions in the United States: Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and atheism.
As the famous saying goes, words cut deeper than a knife. In our world, almost everyone can use the power of language in whichever way they please, whether that be positive or negative. These words can have significant effects on different groups of people.
We'll be discussing the acceptance of several different religions in America and the effect that negative language has on people of these religions. We'll be focusing our project on a pie chart from 2023 PRRI Census of America Religion country-level data on religious identity and diversity.
This chart shows the percentage of each religion based on people who follow it in the United States. While language does not take full responsibility, the numbers on this chart are highly affected by the reactions and words of others.
For instance, in Muslim-based countries, there are established religions forced upon people. However, in America, people are able to choose which religion they practice. Therefore, they may be pressured to change these beliefs based on the words of others around them. This can happen in any environment, as Kathy Lundeen explains in her TEDx Gustavus Adolphus College talk, saying,
Imagine you're at your job. You're minding your own business, you're doing your own thing. You have a coworker who comes by with a fair amount of regularity to tell you that if you don't convert to her religion, you're going to hell. Or imagine you're at your job, you're doing your own thing, minding your own business, and your supervisor makes it a point of stopping by your workstation, calling you terrible names, stuff you're not even 100% sure what it means, but you know it's bad because of your faith practices.
These examples of harsh language used towards religious people can have a very large effect on how they practice their religion.
One religion we'll be focusing on is Judaism.
This image is from an article by Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt titled U.S. Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism from the American Jewish Society.
The image includes a quote explaining language that was used against a Jewish individual in America. A citizen hears grandparents telling their young grandchildren to cover their kippah for their own safety. This is a dome-shaped cap worn by Jewish folks, predominantly men. This quote shows the true extent of the fear that Jews in the United States live in. Some people are so against Jewish folks that even a young kid could be targeted. Jewish boys are being told that they should be using another hat to cover their kippah, which goes along with their religion, in public. This made us think about how scary it is for these people to walk around in public settings and how they must feel targeted due to their religious practices.
The thing that disturbed us was the fact that grandparents have said this to their grandchildren. It made us think about how the child may take this. Would they feel ashamed around their family? Would they feel protected by their family? We imagine this must be a very difficult decision for the grandparents, as they have to choose where to draw the line between encouraging the child to be proud of their practices and protecting them.
According to the Pew Research Center, the past half-decade has included several high-profile incidents of anti-Semitism, including white nationalists chanting, "Jews will not replace us," in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017.
This quote shows an example of language used towards Jewish folks. In America, many Americans are hateful towards Jews, using language that degrades them and makes them feel as though they do not belong in the country. This is a high impact on how openly they will express their religion. It can also affect the light that they see themselves in.
The Pew Research Center went on to say, Jews by religion who perceive higher levels of anti-Semitism more broadly also are more likely than Jews of no religion to say they feel less safe as Jews in America than they did 5 years ago, 58% versus 38%. Majorities of Orthodox, 69%, Conservative, 64%, and Reform Jews, 56%, say they feel less safe than they did 5 years ago. By contrast, about half of Jews who do not identify with a particular stream of Judaism report no change in how safe they feel, 53%.
According to the Pew Research Center, the increase in negative language used towards Jews in recent years has caused them to feel less safe in the United States. The use of words in a negative way towards a certain group of people has made them feel targeted. This use of words has not only hurt them, but actually made them consider their home in the United States unsound.
Another group largely discriminated against in America is Islam.
This image shows a Muslim woman being pointed and spoken about by two others while she's out in public because of her religion. This image shows the harsh reality that many face for openly expressing their faith. A common Islamic practice for women is to wear hijab to cover their hair. However, many are mocked and ridiculed for wearing such a covering. Actions as simple as gossiping behind one's back can make an individual feel ashamed of themselves and could lead to a decrease in religious expression.
In an article titled Religious Identity Discrimination in the Physician Workforce, Insights from Two National Studies of Muslim Clinicians in the U.S. by Benish Bakwi, Layla Azam, Omar Davila, Sahad Marar, and Asim Padella, they say, "We find that Muslim physicians in the USA suffer from workplace discrimination directed at their religious identity, and that these negative experiences may be increasing."
This negative use of language towards those of the Islamic religion has countless impacts on them and the United States as a whole. Individuals around the country discriminate against Muslims, specifically those in the medical field. Firstly, this use of language, according to the evidence, can affect their view on their own religious identity. Not only that, but it can cause a decrease in the amount of Muslims pursuing particular jobs. Their talents are then missing from that specific job force, which is a major change to the whole country.
Majid Alsayegh, in the article Muslims in America, says, "It is not surprising that Muslims see in America where there is growing distrust. There is a tendency in the media and among political circles to hold Muslims collectively responsible for the actions of a few. With the ease of transmitting messages through social media, hatred and prejudice are stoked from many directions, led by political opportunists who see a short-term advantage in demonizing a minority, and by the media that often sensationalizes stories to gain readers."
This is just another example of Muslims being targeted through the use of negative words and actions on sites like social media, where people make cruel statements behind a screen.
The next two beliefs we'll be talking about are Christianity and atheism. This is very controversial, as many say that these are widely accepted. However, throughout our research, we have found many instances of language used harshly towards Christians and atheists in the United States.
First, we will talk about Christianity. In an article titled, "Is There Really Anti-Christian Discrimination in America?" by George Yancey, Yancey stated, "We no longer live in a society generally supportive of Christians."
This was the main point of the article. The author surveyed folks in America and analyzed the extent to which language was used against Christians, even if they seemed supported. He took a survey, and here were a few answers he received.
Among the negative language used against Christians was, "Kill them all, let their God sort them out," and "A torture's death would be too good for them."
These are real examples from American citizens against Christians. This shows how even though Christianity is widespread, people are openly hateful towards it still. This language is generally a response to Christians seeming like hateful people. This is a very hypocritical stance, as the people saying things like this are the ones being hateful.
This steers folks away from their faith, as they do not want to be in the middle of such hate. This kind of language, wishing against the prosperity of a certain group of people, is shared commonly towards Jews and Christians.
Finally, we will be talking about atheism. While this is not seen as a religion, it is still a belief shared towards the idea of God. The University of Washington did a study on discrimination in the United States public schools. The study showed which religions faced more prejudice in schools and which were more accepted.
According to Kim Eckhart, discussing emails sent out to principals including biases towards different faiths, principals displayed across-the-board bias in response to the more overt emails that suggested that their schools might have to accommodate religious requests from parents. In the presence of such treatment language in the email text, the probability of response declined by as much as 13% points for atheists, nearly 9% points for Muslims, 7.8% points for Catholics, and 5.8% for Protestants.
This shows how atheists were least responded to by principals when they sent out the email. So, while atheists are not commonly thought of when talking about religious discrimination, they do face the most prejudice in the school system.
Similarly discriminated against in the workplace to Muslims, they both face the most discrimination by public school.
A lot of harsh language is used towards atheists, as they are seen as having little morals or being bad people. Even George Washington suggested that everybody should follow religion to have a good moral system.
Based on all of our research, we have seen that religious discrimination touches many different beliefs in America. Additionally, not one religion is the least accepted. In reality, different religious beliefs are treated differently depending on the situation. However, one observation we made was that anti-Semitism had much more evidence and examples of language used against Jewish folks. We also found many articles and artifacts on hate towards Muslims, almost the same amount as Jewish hate. Furthermore, we found that the least amount of evidence for hateful language used towards Christians.
This is shown through the chart we introduced earlier, as several branches of Christianity were the most common religions in America, while Judaism, Islam, and several other non-Christian religions were much less common. While all of these religions face different hardships, the use of degrading language against them is a common theme that many Americans can relate to.
Language is a tool that can both improve or take away from the lives of many different groups of people. While languages can be used to bring people down, it can also be used to lift people up. According to Pratt Institute libraries, avoid using words, images, or situations that can reinforce religious stereotypes, even stereotypes that may appear to be positive. Inclusive language also refers to the avoidance of many phrases or statements that tend to stereotype various groups of individuals based on their religion or belief.
If we strive to use language correctly, we can make a large difference in the support both religious and non-religious people get in the community. Thank you for listening!